Good day. This is Renata Ray coming to you from A-Spire magazine. It's April and it's National Poetry Month, and we are highlighting poets all month. I have the privilege today of speaking to Rashid White. Not only is he a poet, an author, he is a healer, an activist. I can't wait to talk to him about his poetic journey and the things that he does.
For having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. And so let's get right into it. You do a whole lot of things. I was reading your bio and I was saying, wow, that's really interesting, all the things that you um, have going on. But I would like to know what started first. Did the poetry start first? What shaped your experience you most as a poet?
Definitely. So, yeah, my biggest cliche to life is I started with a poem. Now I'm here. If it wasn't for poetry, I wouldn't be who I am today in everything that I do. So what really started that for me was an experience called Brave New Voices as a youth poet or an aspiring youth poet back then. I did not know how to get better with my writing. So I was definitely like reading poetry forms from like mythology, Greek, and all that kind of stuff that was going on, trying to figure out poetry as a middle schooler back then. I came across this venue, open mic space called Slam Richmond, in Richmond, Virginia back then, when it was open, which I was then able to join this international poetry festival called Brave New Voices. Was able to compete in 2012, 2013, and even come back on the staff in 2014 as Future Core. But in my 2012 experience, we were able to make it onto final stage and place in the world. So it was a really cool first time being a slam poet and figuring everything out and learning how to write better and everything. I didn't think that going there I would be able to become an internationally ranked slam poet in my first year on the team. So that was really cool. It was an artistic high I never came down from that helped propel a lot of things further for me, how I am an activist, how I am a teaching artist, how I fuse different forms of mixed media together to tell stories of truth in my perspective.
That's awesome. I had a chance to meet some of the artists and some of the founders of Brave uh, New World when they were here in Atlanta a couple of years back, and just amazing youth poetry. So for those who don't know, Brave New Voices, rather, is a platform for youth poets. What are the ages limits of the poets?
Yeah, so the age limits, if they haven't changed it from my time, I aged out. So back then for me, you could be as young as 12 and you would age out at the age of 19 for the competition. They might have made it a little bit earlier for like 11 and 10-year-olds now. I don't remember. I can't really remember off the top of my head. But that's the age range. Aging out is a sad part, but still trying to be a part of the magic is also good.
It's a great platform. And like I said, when they were here in Atlanta, it was just astounding and awesome. The poets that I had a chance to experience. So you have authored 3 books. Which one is the closest to you and why? I do books like children. Okay, they're supposed to be all equal, but sometimes there's one that just like, okay, this is it. I like you a little better. I love you all, but I like you better. Do you have any one of your books that you feel that way?
Yeah, I definitely do with the Sodata Unlocking Agape book. That one's closer to home for me. The other two, I think I had to, when my editor and my team had spoke to me, they told me, hey, we need you to create some more content just to reshape for, something that's more centered around love, which is why there's Love Over Lust. And then not every poem makes it on stage. It was just like, oh, the poems that you don't see me showcase. I was like, kind of like how people that do music have their unreleased tracks. I was like, here are my unreleased poems. Enjoy. A sample of those. But Sodata Unlocking Agape is is the one I am proudest of. It is a part of a 3-part series that I'm working on. So this one helps tell the story of the speaker going through, I think, what we all have to deal with in life, because the word Sodada means the longing of a person or thing that is no longer present. So in that respect, in this book, I try to tackle articulating to multiple people that have a sense of longing for something that's a void that they're trying to get filled, whether it be through love, through religion, through the epiphany. But I've catered it in a way where I'm speaking to somebody directly, where it also feels as though I'm talking to you individually. So it's basically an extended, like, affirmation letter instead of a love letter. So from start to finish, everything overlaps. The poems build off of each other as you go through it, for a very intentional thematic experience from start to finish.
That's the word that came to my mind. It sounds like an experience. Wow, I have to get into that when I had that 25th hour, but it definitely sounds like something I would love to read. I love all the titles. I love the one, The Poems Never Made It Stage, because I've been writing literally since I was 8 years old, and I have a poetry book out there, as quiet as it's kept. And I kind of wrote it because for posterity, because people were like, you need to write these down. So I have a few poems in a book, but there's so many poems over the years that never made it to a stage and never made it to a book. So I can relate to that for sure. And so you describe yourself as a healer and advocate. How is that manifested?
I would say that I do my best to live my life in terms of simplistically as possible, and in terms of like living to my status quo, my truth. Since we're all human, we all have our own biases, we're all flawed. But for me in particular, even in my work, I always say I don't create art, or I don't write poems. I write journeys. So you get to journey with me. I'm very, to the best of my ability, I'm very transparent, as well as letting invulnerable. And I think that sometimes as a person who is a male and having male perspective, with hyper masculinity, and hyper toxicity that happens in male society, you don't really get to see the true undertones of it, or what actually makes, men, more mature into themselves, more in tune with themselves, by being able to express or filter through their emotions and other things like that, but also being able to show that and advocate, hey, being aware of yourself, affirming yourself, in a way where you can still be humble, but in tune to what's going on around you is really important. I believe that, it's our imperfections that make us perfect. So we should cherish all of our blemishes, because, that builds character, gives you some tough skin for yourself and being able to handle life. And everything that people experience, is a learned experience that can sharpen you, as opposed to succumbing to that obstacle. You shouldn't have to always feel as though you have to be defined by your trauma or your traumas, but that happens at everyone's own time, and nobody can rush you in that healing process. But when you do take the time to heal, and feel it all through, and actually get to that true ground zero point and come up from there, you do come out very differently. And it's a really beautiful transformation. Painful, but beautiful.
So how does that translate? If you had a young man in front of you that's dealt with a lot, and in our society, we are dealing with a lot. We're dealing with a lot of violence, both in-house and out-house. And I think you know what that means. And just a lot of trauma, period, day in and day out. And I've talked with young men before where they feel like if they live to be 15, 18, 20, 25, that is an amazing achievement. And because of that, they don't have that many goals because they don't expect to be here. And so if you had a message for those young men and was able just to have a one-on-one with one young man, what would that message be?
That is a beautiful question. As the 25-year-old right now, since that's my age, I definitely identify with that mentality and coming out of that. It really took me saying, "Hey, if I if I miraculously live to 25 or older and I'm still here, what is a dream or an idea or a lifestyle that I want to build and manifest towards as I'm still living, so that I still have something to do? Because as a guy, yeah, even in middle school, I always had a feeling that, hey, I might not make it to this current 25, or I might not even make it past my 30s. It's still in the back of my mind sometimes, and I usually have to silence that voice as best as I can. So for me, my message with that is saying, look at your passions, look at what your skills are that you're confident in, and if you're doing things for yourself or if you're doing it for other people, figure out how you can always, better it, make it your own, treat it as your own baby so that you can, or its own family, so you can take care of that thing that you're working on, that you're nurturing, that you're building and growing with. And that will usually keep you alive on the inside, and quite literally, because you're putting your time and your passion into that instead of other people, the wrong crowds, or being in the wrong place at the wrong time, for us that have melanin. So, yeah.
Great advice. So, as most creative people that I know, including myself, we have a lot of things that we do. And so I'm gonna be easier on you than I am on most people. Usually I ask people to pick one thing that they would do. I'm gonna give you two because I read all the things. I said, okay, it would just be patently unfair to make him choose one. So if for the rest of your life you could only do two things out of the big array of things that you've done, doing, and hope to do, what would they be?
I would keep it very narrow and vague by saying my IT work that I do for my 9 to 5 when I'm not creating. And then I would do the vague part of saying being a mixed media artist, since that allows me to, by that definition of mixed media, allows me to play with multiple platforms in fine arts or just in my passions, to build and continue to fuse things together as I get to experiment, never letting I think that as creatives, when the experimentation dies, something changes in the artist and in the creative. And the art doesn't feel like art. It becomes more routine, more work-esque. Sometimes doesn't feel as fulfilling. So for me, being able to continue being a mixed media artist would be awesome, while continuing being a person that I am in IT as I work as a regional engineer. Because I like puzzles. I like doing things. My mind's constantly at work, so I need to have things that lets me figure things out. It's how I keep my sanity, and that's that.
Okay, I think you kind of snuck out the back door on that one, but we'll let it pass.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so wow, this time has really flown by. I can't believe it. It's like we just sat down a second ago. Um, if you had one message that you want to tell people right now in any area, uh, what would that message be?
I would say, I think what I would tell people right now, despite who you are, where you're from, or the color of your skin, is do what feels truest to you so that you can always be unapologetically you. You shouldn't have to conform.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so what do you have coming up right now?
Well, right now, I'm working with my team that I've been building. I've been taking advice from not only you, but Bruce George and a few other people in my life I'm thankful to have and have met along the way that life has afforded me. So I'm working on some new content, some new videos for visuals that are being created for some of these videos. Potentially an EP for our spoken word album, since it's kind of an underrated market. I want to play around with that market while working on some new chapbook submission contests for other publications. So yeah, books and creative content is what we're working on right now. So stay tuned. You will see all that.
I can't wait till it comes out, and we'll definitely let people know how they can connect with you and get your books and connect with your website, with the things that you have going on. Well, I thank you for doing this poetry spotlight for the special edition of A-Spire magazine. We're happy to have you a part of the platform. You're definitely someone that people should look out for and follow and see. I know you have a lot of great things in your future. So thank you for stopping by.
And thank you for having me and being in this space. It's always good to contribute.
You're welcome. So there you have it. We've spent, seems like a hot minute with Rashid White, poet, IT person, author, creative, philosopher. I'm going to add that to his title. So definitely, we're going to have a way for you to keep in contact with him, and follow us here at A-Spire. Check out the magazine. It's www.a the dash and spire.com. Until next time, this is Renata Ray.